When Maria asked if I would speak here today, I was honored and also somewhat surprised. I told her I'm not much for public speaking. I've never given a eulogy and wasn't sure what I was going to say. Maria suggested, for a start, I tell a little Jack's family history. In the early 1900s, our grandparents, Patrick and Mary Moore Garrity, immigrated to Chicago from Kilmena, County Mayo, a very small village in the west of Ireland. They didn't have much in the way of material goods, but both possessed a great love for family. Grandpa was one of 13 children, Grandma one of 7. Together, they had 5 children of their own. The oldest, Joe, was Jack's father. Next came Tom, then Mary, who was my mother, then John, and the youngest, Patricia. Although they didn't have a lot of money, there was an abundance of love for God and for each other. These bonds of love were then passed on to 16 grandchildren. Family occasions and holidays were always marked by get-togethers and parties. A Garrity family picnic and a rented cottage in Delton, Wisconsin were highlights of the summer and served to bring us closer together. Jack lived for his family, his dad, his mother Helen, his sister Mary Pat, and brother-in-law Jenny, Katie, his niece, his nephew Jamie, along with Jenny and their daughter Avery. Jack reluctantly attended Queen of Angels grade school and Fall Academy. I like to think that the good sisters and brothers who tried to teach him got the VIP entrance when they reached the pearly gates. Now, Jack took great pride in being Irish. St. Patrick's Day was always cause for great celebration. In the 16th century, a Jesuit priest, Edmund Campion, visited Ireland. During his travels, he took note of some of the characteristics of the people living there. He found them to be frank, amorous, and sufferable of infinite pain. He called them sharp-witted, lovers of learning, capable of studies to which they lent themselves, adventurous, intractable. I had to look that up. It means basically a pain in the butt. And kind-hearted. All of the above describes our Jack. Now, Jack never kissed the Blarney Stone. He didn't need to. He inherited the gift of gab from his mom, although his sister got the lion's share. He excelled in the Irish tradition of the shamaki, the storyteller. What a storyteller. He had one for just about every occasion and occurrence. Whether it happened to him or to a friend, he read about it, saw it on TV, or picked it up from a passenger in his cab. He could always entertain those gathered around him. But it wasn't just the story, it was the way he told it. He may not have been a weaver of cloth, but he could certainly weave a yarn. He would twist his body and gesture with his hands, raise his shoulders when he questioned something that was going on. In the cadence of his speech, how he would lower or raise his voice, the timbre, the tone of his voice. His eyes would flash at anything that angered him, would crinkle and dance when he was amused. Then he would give you that laugh and that grin. Oh, that grin. You could see the mischief behind his eyes when he gave you that grin. Now, normally a eulogy will include some stories, but our time is limited, and with Jack, trying to narrow it down to just a few is impossible. I could tell stories all day. A lot of them are not appropriate for church. I'm sure everyone here has at least one favorite Jack story, probably several. And after Mass, we have the chance to get together and share and remember them. A remembrance of times spent together and of the laughter and happiness he brought into our lives. In my adventures with Jack, I always noticed he could talk to people he didn't know. He could engage them, make them feel comfortable, listen to what they had to say, learn from them, and and pass on what he knew, no matter where he was, in a store, on the street, his cab, a restaurant, a bar. He could open himself up to others. He was never afraid to converse with those around him. Being a cab driver was a natural fit for his personality. Also, I think he would have made a great talk show host. If you wanted to find him at a party or a night out, you just had to look for the biggest group there. But life is not all fun and games. Like his Irish ancestors, who suffered the infinite pains of famine, war, and being forced from their land, Jack suffered loss and tragedy. When Jack was 14, his father left for work one morning and never came home. Uncle Joe was up on the scaffold doing asbestos work when he fell. When Jack was 26, his mother was diagnosed with a brain tumor, and Helen passed away just a few months later. 10 years ago, his sister Mary Pat lost her fight with mesothelioma. Throughout his life, he would face his own challenge. When I was about 8 or 9, I asked my mom why he walked the way he did. No one else walks like that. She explained that he had a problem with his legs, and that one day would probably be in a wheelchair. I was too young to understand what muscular dystrophy was and how it affected him. MD was that lifelong challenge. A challenge he bravely faced up to. Personally, I never heard him say, "Why me?" or use it as an excuse. He didn't want pity. He never tried to hide it or ask for extraordinary treatment. He would only ask me to move a chair out of the way or hold the table down when he went to stand up. He confronted its difficulties and found ways to overcome them and live life to the fullest. Even though at times his body might betray him, he still managed to move through life with grace and joy. When I asked my cousin Donna to describe Jack, she said he spread joy. For many years, he fought this battle alone. Then one day, that all changed. He would no longer have to fight alone. He found someone who would share his struggle, who would stand by his side and face life's challenges alongside him. He found his ally, his best friend, the love of his life, Maria. The woman that Mary Pat would call her angel, the answer to her prayers for her brother, Jack and Maria. How can we talk about Jack without Maria? We cannot think of one without the other. They didn't just profess the vows of better or for worse, in sickness or in health. They lived them every day for over 33 years. Their love for each other serves as an inspiration and an example for us all. Maria, thank you. Thank you for your example, your inspiration, your love for Jack, for all that you did for him. Because of you, all of us gathered here today had him in our lives that much longer. Finally, I would like to share the story of the last time my wife, Sue, and I saw Jack in person. It was October 2019, a couple of years since we had last seen him. He was thin and looked tired. His chair was too big for him now. There were other family members at the condo, but Jack was soon in his element. Stories of laughter were shared, but he did tire as the night went on. When Sue and I were leaving, he asked, "What are you doing tomorrow?" We didn't have anything planned, so we decided to meet for dinner at one of Jack's favorite places, the Gale Street Inn. We had a great evening. We were joined by our cousin Margaret and her husband Paul. Jack had his usual rack of ribs, with the extra one to go as always, and it was old times again. Then something happened that was quintessential Jack. As we were getting ready to leave, three men sitting at a table behind us. They were quite loud and boisterous during the night. As we were getting ready to leave, one came over to apologize for being a nuisance. He and Jack started to talk. Next thing you know, this guy starts telling us about what was going on in his life, where he lived, problems with his house and such. The other two came over and joined in the conversation. It was amazing to see how Jack had made a connection with these three total strangers. For a moment, I thought he was going to ask them to pull up some chairs and have a drink. That was Jack. He loved to be around his family and his friends, but always wanted to meet new people and make new friends. In chapter 11 of St. Luke's Gospel, our Lord tells us, one does not light their lamp and then hide it under a basket. They put it on the lampstand so that all may see the light. In chapter 16 of St. John's Gospel, we are told, you too have grief now, but I will see you again, and your heart will rejoice, and no one will take your joy away from you. Jack put his lamp upon the lampstand and let his light, his love, shine for all of us to see. And with that light, he brought joy to our lives. So, to honor him, let us do the same. Let our lights shine forth and spread joy to all those around us. Thank you, Jack, for sharing your light with us. Thank you, O Lord, for the gift of Jack. Now, I would like to thank everyone on behalf of Maria and the family for being here today and joining us in this celebration of Jack. But if Jack were here, he would say it's not a celebration without an Irish bar. So please join us after the service at Mullins, 1 block west of the church, at the corner of Chase and Western. And if you are parked in the lot on the east side of the church, please move your car to either the street or there is a parking lot at the corner of Jarvis and Claremont.